What? Yeah, I'll just bring the peak one down. Check 2, check. All right, so I think we're live. Right, Lily? Can I see you? We should be. It is being recorded, and we'll also put it on. When we hit record, that's when it went online. Is that what was supposed to happen?
When it hit record, it went on online. We didn't hit the record button. We hit the live button. The button that says go live.
Well, when she hit record is when it went to the thing. Okay. There we are. Hey, look, there we are. Hey, what camera can we look at? I want to know. What camera are you going to put me at? This one?
Are we looking at you?
This one? Just copy and paste.
See, that's the thing about Becky giving out her phone number for prayer. She gets all of the other questions too. Oh, yeah. Which is good. Well, last time I heard no real instructions to send them someplace else. Yeah. That's why they were sending them. Yeah, there we go. Not that they ever sent them.
If anyone here is texting you saying we can't find it, let us know and we'll text that person. All right, since we're online and we're 9 minutes late, we're about on time. First off, I want to thank, if you don't know me, I'm Michael Blackburn, one of the staff members here. I'm usually over in the contemporary service, but I also work on the staff and kind of help coordinate, especially it seems like a lot during COVID. And so I want to first just thank everyone for sticking with us through this last year and a half. It's been a challenging one. It's been frustrating. It's been sad at times. It's been fun at times. It's been exciting. It's been new and we're all feeling uncomfortable every day. So I appreciate you guys all sticking with us in all the uncomfortable ways we've tried to communicate. I think I'll just start and say, like, this is going to be a listening session. We're here to listen. We're here to talk a little bit. There has not been a decision. There's not been a backroom conversation. There's not been an intent of ever canceling the 8:30 service and doing that, just so you all know that right off the front. Also, are just not starting it so far has really been out of necessity of what we've had the ability to do and making sure that of our own experiences with those things. And the 8:30 service would not be a service that we would just not start again without having at least several conversations like this. So that's, I'll just go and put that out right now with that. The 8:30 service is a special service here. It started in the 90s. George Thompson had it. It was a summer service, and then by the time my dad got here, I think that was the first year it had already kind of been doing it over and over again. It was a special service to me because Betty Lou Hubbard would ask this 15-year-old to play guitar at that one. And the 8:30 service, always fun one to play guitar at because no one said anything negative to me after the service, like I got a lot of times in the 11 o'clock service. So I was always appreciative of the 8:30 service. We loved the laid backness of it. I always when Betty Lou was doing it, I always called it the jukebox in the beginning, where she would ask for people to holler out hymns that they want to sing. And so we would, the service would start with participation from the congregation right away, and we got to sing the song you wanted to sing that morning. If you got there on time, we got to do that. When I returned in 2003, the 8:30 seemed a lot different to me because it was a exact copy of the 11 o'clock service, which it was not when my dad was here. And in fact, it stayed that way at least till 2010, 2011 when Becky got here, because we were still making one bulletin for 11 and 8:30. It was the exact same service. It was just sort of had less attendance. It's about the only thing that we could see difference in the two. I know when Sandy and Scott had conversations, and we've tried some different stuff here to make it, maybe a communion service or others. And then I think Scott really took a great leap of leadership by having what I can remember, even when Betty Lou was here, an actual singing group that was just for the 8:30 service, and had an identity with that. And so, again, today, I just want you to know how thankful we are that you're here, your participation in being a part of this and all the other parts of church. Know kind of where we are and where we're going to go, and we'll explain a little bit more there, because it has been really hard to reopen for us. It's been hard to reopen in person because it's not what it was, and it's not going to get back to where it was before. You still have people not coming because they're scared of being sick, or not wanting to wear a mask, or not wanting to sing and wear a mask, or whatever it is. But all of a sudden, even in when we decided to give us two opportunities in person, a traditional and a contemporary, what we found in both services is that they're about 50% of what they were, and have continued to kind of be. I mean, today was a great day in the contemporary service, and I think we got to 140, 150 maybe, and that's not half of what we were right before COVID. So, it's just been different as we've gone through that, and so that's been a part of it too. But I did my part. Have I done my part? Oh, I did a little of your part.
I was thinking, I thought I was going to say some of those things. I know, it was good. It was good. Well, we did want to say that we hear your responses. So there have been many of you from the 8:30 service worshiping crowd who have reached out to us and asked good questions. when is the 8:30 service coming back, or there's a rumor that it's never coming back, or we really miss our 8:30 service people and the opportunities for us to gather on Sunday mornings in person. And so we want to respond and say, you know, we've heard that, we've heard you, and we know also firsthand what it feels like to lose something important in regards to our church. I mean, something that's integral to who we are and where we feel that we find the most connection, or where we feel our ministry is at its peak, you know, or whatever those things are. The feelings that you all have about the 8:30 service is across the board, and I want you to know that it's not just the service, but it's also Sunday school classes, it's also the 11 o'clock service, it's also the 8:40 service, and it's a deep grief and pain and loss that we all feel. And working through that and navigating it has not been easy. And I know that it's difficult to sit back and see, okay, well, the gym service is coming back in and the 11 o'clock service is coming back in, you know, what about us? And this is something that we have been processing. We haven't been having, you know, open discussions, but we have been, as a staff, processing. This has not left the conversation, but it's just been real hard to come back and see, like Mike was saying, the numbers in the gym or the numbers in the sanctuary, and sensing, you know, that it feels like, you know, nobody's really happy. You know, I mean, everybody has kind of accepted, you know, the terrible term of the new normal. You know, nobody likes coming to worship in masks. Nobody likes the distancing. Nobody likes feeling the anxiety that it creates when you go into a group of people, because we all have different levels of comfort in being in groups of people, and we're missing crucial elements of our worship services, and you know, there's just a whole lot that we have to cut out. And so this is something that we're just, you know, we're taking this on as we can take it on, and you know, thinking about starting at the 8:30 service again, like if we started it next Sunday. You know, I'm looking at you all here and many others who aren't here this afternoon, but I see in worship, you know, what would 11 o'clock look like, you know, when we're plugging along, but we're not anywhere where we used to be as far as numbers go and community go. You know, if we started again, then we've lost a good portion of those of us that are gathering at 11. And so gaining that momentum again is just really difficult. And so we're trying to navigate all of those things, but we also are in pain. I want you to, like, as a staff, knowing where you all are in regards to the service that's so special. So we're processing.
I don't really have a script, but I want to echo, you know, just my appreciation for you all and how much I enjoy the 8:30 service. I think that, you know, when we've had conversations about what we're doing in our schedule, there have not been any conversations about not doing 8:30. It's just always been not doing 8:30 yet. And I think that it really is just a matter of timing, because we all want to, you know, we all want to do something. And so I think, you know, for today, you know, just to be able to listen to your all's thoughts on really anything in regards to the service. But also, you know, in this season of us being where we are, anticipating, you know, what tomorrow looks like, I would be curious to know what are some things that we could do with our current structure. You know, we have the 8:30 online service, we have the 9 o'clock awakening and the 11 o'clock traditional that would kind of help with some of the loss that, you know, that we're feeling at 8:30. You know, I started grieving 8:30 stuff when I first got here because, you know, I say hi briefly at the beginning and then I have to leave. And so I know, I just know what it's like to be able to linger after a service. And that's oftentimes when I get to know a lot of you. And I just remember for the longest time, you know, Becky would say, well, who's so-and-so? Oh, they're at 8:30. I was like, oh, well, no wonder I don't know them, you know, kind of thing. But so I'm curious too, as I think about what tomorrow looks like, and you know, months from now, whenever that is. There's not we don't have a hard date on when we think that it could be. I'm curious about what could it look like. How do we structure our Sunday mornings? The thing about what we've been through is it's an opportunity for us to reimagine and make things better. So I'd like for that to kind of be a part of the conversation too. What are some of your dreams? We're talking about dreams today, this morning. So what are some of the things that we dream about? I think the things that we've missed and that we long for, that's important. But also, what if kinds of things too. So involvement. The congregation that gathered at 8:30, maybe more involvement in the online service. If the online service felt a little more, we get feedback on everything, and nothing's perfect. So when we went from 2 online services to kind of one blended service, I mean, we all know that when you try to blend something, nobody's happy. So we've gotten a good bit of that, and so I know you all feel that too. But what are some ideas maybe with what we're currently doing that it could make it a little bit better? And I think even beyond a lot of the stuff that I've heard from you all that I love is the connection that you feel for each other, the intimacy that you share. It is an intimate service. We enjoy a smaller, intimate service, always knowing though that if a service is really contagious and we're inviting people, it doesn't stay small for long. But I've been in big rooms that feel small. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people can, So that's important. And I know some have shared that deep sense of loss, like Becky was talking about, and even just the plugging in on Sunday morning, which I haven't gone live at 8:30 online in a long time, but just those little comments, that how meaningful even something that small can be. So anyway, I love you, and I love being your pastor, and I love this church, and I actually feel excited about what we can do. And so anyway, I can also just ramble on, and I don't know. I didn't have a script or an agenda, so I don't know if I covered it or not. But since there was nothing really technically from it, nuts and bolts was kind of one of my things. But
I think the one thing I want to make sure is clear is because I've heard this. If we had a full-time music person or not, we would still not, this service, like if Scott had stayed on, we'd still be at this point right now. If we had Scott, and we would still be doing the 3 distinct services the way we're doing now, especially since online is still probably our most watched service that we have on Sunday mornings when it comes through. And it's not just the views, but it's the household viewerships that watch it, how long they're watching. Like, because of YouTube, we can see all those analytics, and we know that there are a lot, and it was even confirmed today when we did our drive-through stewardship stuff. How many people are still, not coming in person, and that's how they wanted to drop their pledge off. So that's, I want to make sure that's there too, that this is not because Scott's in the transition, Scott had left, we're in this transition. If Scott had been here or not, we would still be doing this right now. So that's the only other nut and bolt I remember.
So is this microphone hot? Are we ready just to?
And we just want the microphone part to hear. And I can run it. You don't understand. Give me something.
And this is being recorded. So we have we're not taking notes because we'll have it, right?
Correct.
Are other congregations in Waynesville facing the same dilemma? That's one question. As far as attendance or membership, there was an article in USA Today 2 weeks back. Organized religion is really taking a hit. And membership even, it's not just people aren't coming, is that they've quit. Do you find that here? That's my main question.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to try to figure out, which we've been trying to figure that out from the very beginning, especially, we've dealt with some hard stuff, like remove COVID from the equation. I mean, we've dealt with LGBTQ inclusion, we've dealt with, conversations about racial injustice, and it's been interesting, the families that have decided to, it doesn't feel like an overwhelming number, but so those have kind of been like a part of the undercurrent too. So we're like, are people not coming because of COVID? Did we make them mad because, I know some people really were upset with my sermon where I mentioned Black Lives Matter, and of course had lots and lots of meetings and conversations about what our denomination is going through with inclusion. So yeah, it's hard to know if people have left. We know that some have, but it's not, that hasn't been a number that has felt overwhelming. And this time last year, the response for stewardship, I think that really blew us away, because those kind of questions were swirling. Like, is our church still out there? And whenever we had the drive-through things in the parking lot, it just felt like weeping when we saw you all and people that we hadn't seen since March of last year. And there they were, and they were getting ashes put on their head, or they were giving us the pledge card. And so I think we have, in large part, been encouraged and believe that our church is still together. We're just in these different places. I will say that I have encountered some families, and they're a little sheepish and ashamed, but it's like, we're just really enjoying pajama worship. And I will laugh too, but I'm quick to say, well, you need to come back, because I need to see your face. If you're not concerned about your health, if you're just being comfortable at home, the church needs you in the pew. I mean, there's nothing like being together in the room, and so I think it's a combination of all those things.
Well, for me, I've seen levels of engagement too, not just the money, which was, last year our stewardship campaign was the second biggest in the history of First United Methodist Church, only beat by the year prior to that when we had John come in and help us do all that, and we almost eclipsed that. But it's not just the money. When you look at we have a lot of guests. We have a lot of visitors we had people join who had never stepped foot into our church until. We had people who are in small groups that have never come to a worship service. And even this Sunday morning, we had in the 9 o'clock, just brand new families that were coming in. Our confirmation class is at least 18 kids, which is, and I think we're going to have more because we've had more kids coming into that. And so like that part is still real strong. We've done our stuff for our children and looking at that. When we go, our level of engagement of stuff outside of the church, outside of Sunday morning, seems to be really good. And I don't know why some of it I think is routine. I think some of it is they feel like this is maybe the place they don't feel safe because it is the one thing that's a mass gathering. But I have heard people, other churches in this community, mourn the loss of their involvement. I don't feel that way here with our involvement. And maybe our Sunday morning numbers have definitely dropped, but not the involvement. So.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say to answer the question too. Absolutely, every other congregation in Haywood County across the board is feeling the weight of COVID and the numbers and the loss in the worshiping groups. So much so that we even got a letter from our bishop this week encouraging us, like, even if you've only got 3 people in the pews, you're doing God's work, and don't give up. So, I think that every church is feeling the same types of loss in the groups on Sunday morning.
I don't have any questions, but I want to make some comments. I have thoroughly enjoyed the 8:30 blended service. I may be one of the few that would tell you that, but I enjoy seeing Keith getting away from the pulpit and going out in places that relate to what the sermon's about. I enjoy Mike's group very much. So As far as the 8:30 service, I miss the fellowship of the 8:30 family. I don't see much point in starting it back until the numbers drop and we're allowed to come back without masks. Because I, for one, though I'm not concerned about getting sick, I will not sing with the mask on. And so if it came back, I wouldn't be able to sing the morning song because I will not sing with the mask on. I think that about covers my comments. But thank you for having the online service.
Yeah, I was actually just going to basically ditto that because I've talked to Mom enough and probably some people that I don't think it's quite so much ready to jump back in and come. It's just that wanting to hear that it's still in the, still in the works, still that it's not going to be, taken away because that's going to be an easy thing to do, blah, blah, blah. So that piece, I'm not sure if we had a show of hands, who would come back this Sunday if they started it? Oh, we would. Okay, so, okay, there you go. Well, because I know some,
I live 500 plus children every day.
Okay, so their concerns may be different in terms of that, but I mean, I would come back, but I probably know more like talking to some that some may not still feel comfortable. But also part of the beauty of that service really was the music for me. And so, yeah, if there's not going to be kind of that music, that was part of the blend, was the music, which then brings me to, I have to say that as much as I missed people, that online specific service for 8:30 was wonderful. And it's what you said. We could get on there and that's what I was exactly. It's like, we literally were talking to each other during the sign-ins. And there was a big group. There was a large showing for, or our group. And so I almost didn't feel, like I was missing. I could literally see people in my mind. The music was still there. It was geared toward us. So now I'm being selfish because I actually didn't have any idea how many people are still watching that. But I feel the loss is that it's broken up and we don't have that big a group signing in. So I think it's that loss of, wow, I don't think we're that group anymore. And this is absolutely nothing about the music that you all bring to it. Like, I'm sorry, I miss my music, I miss that. And yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, and this isn't a slam to your sermons, they're great, but that music is so integral that even though we don't have I know it's not because we don't have a music minister there, but I do believe that there could be, maybe if this is going to go on for a while, that there could be some more attention to blended music.
Yeah, and either Becky or Mike shared this the other day when we kind of huddled up to get ready for today, and that was kind of part of the nuts and bolts things. Like, what are some practical, specific things that we could do to the 8:30 service that would help? So, like, would morning song record? That some things that are on the screen could emulate, or be like they were in the actual 8:30 service. So that morning song could have some song, and some of you all reading the scripture, and those seem like small things, but small things, they matter, and they can feel like big things, and so it can help with that, can help with that cohesion. Because I know that the online service, I'm not in the Hollywood crew mix of making that happen. I'm on this side of the camera most of the time, but I don't know until they made that comment the other day. In my mind, it's just been, you've got the awakening, more contemporary service with the more traditional service. There's not been an 8:30 kind of components thrown into that mix. Although I think, especially when Scott was here, the banjo shows up, and there's a little more of those intimate, kinds of things. But yeah, so what are some ways that we can do what we're doing to help kind of connect with the 8:30 group?
And one last thing, just because, and then I'm passing it back. This is something, because you were asking down the road if you were to look at bringing it back and how that would work and how you could potentially be more of a part of it, be here till the end. And, you know, I'll go back to, I know it's a conversation that we've had because I've had it with several people, is the timing of the services so that you could, you know, I think there's ways to do it, but some of the onus is going to be on the contemporary service being a little bit more in the mix of making being flexible. Yeah, would be good. Yeah, in terms of the timing, because one of the big things about, you know, that you really could stay in here for the majority of our, probably till the end of our service, and still be able to get over there and preach, and that service still end by Sunday school if people arrange their services. You know, tweaking things, timing is my, I don't know, I don't want to be the only one speaking to that, but I know I've talked to several people and even Sunday schools that, you know, we want to get started at 10 or 10 after, and it's typically, even at that point, contemporary needed to make that decision to end on time and to have I know it's more flexible and more easygoing service, but all of us kind of have to make those decisions. But anyway, I'm passing.
We wait on him. When we were adding songs for him to come running down the hall to preach. If we went long, it's because he was in here too long. Right. I mean, there were times where we're up there just singing. I'd have to come up with another song that wasn't on the day at all, had nothing to do with the service, and would have to do it. But then he preaches. All he does at ours, he comes in and doesn't hear anything of our service. He preaches, and we do a song. That is all we have of Keith. So, no, but I'm just saying there's not a lot of room on our end to. We are waiting on it to come in. So I think we'd have to branch. I mean, I'm fine starting at 9 to make sure, and we've shortened our service, but
Yeah. My sermons are taking a hit in this meeting. No, I feel. Yeah, I would love to be able.
And I think it's both ways too. We would like to have him at the beginning. It has been a huge shot in the arm for us since COVID to have him there the entire service, which we've never had him there. I mean, it's so.
And I think I'm encouraged. I mean, there are those things that I want in my heart, like the ability to be at all three services for at least most of it. And I've been encouraged at our ability in our 2 in-person services to really do well with the time. We're starting on time. The 8:40 service never started at 8:40. It started at 9, pretty much. And so, I mean, kind of. I mean, that was a big part of it because people wouldn't come. It's like, you've got a band that's ready to start leading music, and the crowd's not there yet. So you just want to wait just a little bit longer. And anyway, to your point, that we can, tweak the time and manage the time. And I think that's the work that's ahead of us, is what can we dream? What can we come up with that could really work? And I think in this age of filming the sermons, we've really grown in our ability to tighten things up. And I feel like my sermons aren't 25 minutes anymore. They really are 15 to 20 minutes. And so anyway, I think that I know. No. But I think it's very possible for us to come up with something that will work.
Steve's asking you to do that. But anyway, no, I was going to say tweaking the time, because I know that there for a while when we first started coming, it was actually 8 o'clock. It was an 8 o'clock service, not 8:30. Then it was 8 o'clock. Now, of course, getting morning song there on time might be an issue anyway, because that's us. But and tweaking, like I know, even like helping out some at the 11, instead of doing 3 hymns, doing 2 hymns, So I think those kinds of things can be, you can figure that out. It's just, that's down the road. But I think there can be some tweaking done so that you can make it all work, so that you can be here for most of it. I mean, if we finished at 8:45 and then they started at 9 and that kind of thing, I think maybe that solves that part of that issue. I don't know.
I agree. I think it's very doable.
Hard to get these off with classes. I want to say first, I love the 8:30. I miss it terribly. I'm coming to 11, and it just ain't the same, you know. But at the same instance, I know what it's like to be on a staff with 3 services, and you literally run between them, trying to do it, and you're exhausted, and you can't build the relationships with the people. So I just want, under all of this, to be, why would we have an 8:30 service? I would want us to be really clear about why would we do it? Why is it worth the resources of the staff or the time? If it's just for convenience, I'm willing to, okay, I'm a morning person, but I'll shoot most of the day waiting on the 11 o'clock class, listen to me, if I need to. So what is the compelling reason? And what would be what would shape the 8:30 that would want people to come? Not just let's tweak, because we can tweak and you can do that. But I just think there's some deeper questions, you know, not just because I like 8:30.
I think that we're talking a lot about schedule and technicality, and a big thing for us is the culture of it and the feeling of it. It's like, and even though I have listened, rarely missed an online service, I didn't even get on there, maybe twice in 2 years did I even type in my name. But just seeing everybody's name and seeing the, you know, because, you know, when I come in, I'm not a big talker, but it's just seeing everybody that you know, and it's, there's just a feeling of comfort that, and I guess part of it is routine. Maybe if I came all the time to 11, that I'd get that feeling. But I also have found some folks that have joined not so long ago, feel a comfort with the 8:30 because it's small and intimate, and they come from smaller churches. And I love the small, intimate part of it, but I feel great about being a part of a large congregation. So I'm just really talking to the touchy-feely part of it.
So I'm a numbers person, and when you talk about the numbers being down, are you including the people who are online?
No, we're not in person.
So there's a good number of people. And secondly, you know you're reaching people that you wouldn't be able to reach if you weren't doing that. So again, you're being the church outside of the church. The 8:30 service, my wife is not a morning person, but she enthusiastically gets ready for the 8:30 service when it was there. So for our family worship, it's kind of important to me. The one thing I'd like to see, and it's a dynamic I'm sure you don't want to have to worry about, but we came from a church that had an 8:15 service, and they served communion every Sunday. And the congregation for that service was small enough where it was possible to do that. And, you know, I'm just convinced that as a sinner I need communion, and I'd like to see that happen more than once a month. So, thank you for what you do. I think you're a wonderful staff.
What are the numbers for online?
Somewhere between 150 to 200, depending on the week. And that's views, not households. So we know that there are more views because a household would have You know, 4 or 5, like the Hendersons would have so many, you know, people with their kids and stuff, that we know that that number's higher than that.
Thank you for it. It's just been amazing.
Today is already at 127. So, and by the time, and for some people still walk all the way through.
One last question and maybe a suggestion. I don't know when the 8:40 service started. It's probably been around longer than I've been here. That's about 8 years.
Before I got
What's the
here.
possibility of combining two services back again and maybe start at 8:45? I don't know if anybody's even addressed that. I'm sure you have, but does that turn people away? Would it turn 8:30 people away?
I'd look in this room. I mean, we would have to do it in the gym. 8:40 combined with 8:30. I would say that have one service. But my guess is everyone in here likes the sanctuary, and that's why they come. And we couldn't do what we do over here in the sanctuary. The sound definitely wouldn't work. Yes. But you can always come, 9 o'clock, we're there.
I think in the practical sense, that we're that's what we're doing. We're combining the 8:30 with the 11 right now. And, you know, to your point about the intimacy and about seeing your people, like we all have our people, and like it's been amazing the emotion that wells up. I'm seeing people now, not really for the first time anymore. Sometimes it's still happening, but it's just like the excitement that I feel. I can't even see your nose and your mouth. I can just see your eyes, but I know it's you. And there's just really something to that. And so I can see the point of like coming to an 11 o'clock service. If it's not your people, then it's kind of a different thing. It's amazing to me, the power of that. And I know at the 11 o'clock service, it's been a while since the SALT class would just inhabit this whole space. Like there was just an energy there because they're in a Sunday school classroom together, and they're like a small some of you maybe are in that class. You're like a small congregation to yourself, and that's maybe something that you all could a concerted effort to. Well, let's sit in the balcony, or let's do this or that, or again, none of it's perfect, but even our coming, it's just still not the same. People are not. Even when we started back in person, people weren't lingering. I mean, it was just so weird. I don't know if any of you came to in person kind of at the beginning. We were spaced apart. Only 25 could come for a while. Just this whole process we've tried to figure out. First of all, it exhausted me, and I wasn't doing but a fraction of. I wasn't even the one figuring it all out. But then people were just leaving. Maybe we would have to let people go by pew, and there was like no. I don't know, it was just so strange. And I think still there's just not that same kind of freedom to just embrace and visit and be in each other's face and worry did you brush your teeth good enough, Like, it doesn't matter now because I'm wearing a mask. I had garlic toast for lunch. But all of those things that seem small, they really do matter. And I think if there's ways that we can, I think, to your point, it's not the service hasn't gone away. It's just this is just where we are right now, and we're being very careful not to jump too quickly. A lot of people are helping me not to do that, and helping me to realize that there's a lot more involved. And that's easy for the guy who just shows up and preaches a sermon and then runs somewhere else and preaches a sermon to not really know this is the kind of energy it takes to do something well. And I think that's something I've heard Michael say a lot. It's like when we start back to the service or to anything like music makers or programs that have had to be put on hold, we want to do it well, and we want it to succeed. And so anyway, yeah.
just as the church as a whole is going to have to make adjustments to the future, whether it's COVID or other issues that the church is dealing with, I think the people in the 8:30 service would be willing to make adjustments as well, whether it had to do with the exact format of the service or the length or the beginning. But I think we're more flexible than we may realize. As long as the basic direction of that service stays intact, I think what's going to need to happen is the members of the church and staff of the church will need to come up with what that format is going to be and then try it out and see what the response is going to be. That's the only way you're going to know for sure. You can't make too many judgments ahead of time and feel like, well, we've got it. We know how it's going to be, and we know it's going to be accepted. I think we're just going to it's going to be trial and error to some degree. But I think the people who come to 8:30 will be receptive enough to do what's necessary.
I appreciate that. That's helpful. I don't know if we promised an hour meeting, but if so, we got 9 minutes. Although we did start a little late for technology reasons, so.
Well, I was just going to say, I wonder if there's, because I hear the need for the togetherness, you know, and we're saying we really don't know if we can function another service right now. So how can we find a way to bring the community back of the 8:30 service crowd? And maybe this is something that you all discuss together, you know. I don't know if it's like you all get together and have a covered dish outside when it's getting colder, but, you know, some way for the 8:30 service community to feel that connectedness in a safe way that's adaptable for you all. You know, can we help you get connected with an email list? And then maybe there's some way that so you're not feeling isolated and alone, where you can see your people in the middle, in between.
No, we don't feel like we're targets. I was trying to take my emotional temperature. I was like, I mean, I haven't been anxious about any of this at all. I mean, you know, we're just, and y'all know, we're just trying to be church. And there's so much going on that's not Sunday morning worship that blows my mind. You know, how this staff and you all have just never stopped being the church. And that's been probably one of the most refreshing things for me is just, you know, and it's just who we are, like we're the church, and you adapt and adjust, and so.
Yeah, we talked about it at the contemporary service this morning, or I did at the end, that, you know, the staff has gone through so much, like, well, we're mourning this, we don't have this, not having this program, not having this, we're going to have to stop doing this, not seeing these people in person. Right. You have to cancel it because 3 of your volunteers are close contact, and you got to figure out how you're going to redo everything. But the last month, and of course we're right here in the middle of the Stride series, and so we've been on Dream this week and just going through, and I just felt an energy. It's like all of a sudden we've woken up and we're in Waynesville with all this need, all this opportunity, and it's like, man, we got these hands and these things that we can do, and I feel so encouraged about the steps our church is taking with our programs, with the outreach that we're doing, the way our programs have changed to be more community organized in that, and not so much as a silo. And so I'm just so excited about those opportunities.
I'm not only going to compliment you, I'm going to cry at the same time. We have no idea what you all have been through.
and I appreciate it. I don't think it's time to start the service back. That's one more thing that's got to be juggled with you all. Yes, I miss it terribly. I miss this group of morning song, but in my heart, I don't feel like it's the right time for that to. I'm glad to hear it's not being dropped. That makes me feel better because the rumors, float. But it's not the right time, I don't feel. But thank you all for what you all do daily. I can't imagine.
I also appreciate all the creativity, everything that's gone in to reach out to not only our congregation, but I know our daughter sees you every Sunday morning, and she lives in Philadelphia, and I know there are people around the world. This question about 8:30 has been going on about as long as I've been in this church, and it's a historic problem. I think that we look at the small number and we think, oh, they're going to cut us. And then we had some issues with communion and trying to get communion staffed for us so that the minister could be in two places, and that was uncomfortable. But I don't think anybody will feel really wonderful about starting another service until we are mask-free and we can really be back together. So I just think this is not an imminent decision you're going to have to make. I think we'll be much happier when we can joyously sing with Steve Burwager and just participate in however we can. We have some time to work out the things that are involved in this.
I was just curious how many people are connecting with us.
Corinne sent a text in. There's 10 online viewing.
10. So hey, y'all.
It's in there.
I gotta put my glasses on. So I'm trying to do contacts, but then how, like everything that I need isn't available. Like the coffee on the shelf is at the grocery store, and so which one? What am I reading? At the very bottom. We would come back, but see the need to wait until we can maintain the numbers. Thanks, Corinne. So contacts are on back order.
I don't need glasses yet. Okay. Cheryl Villamain says, you all have done an amazing job of keeping our church vibrant and all of us involved. I do love the intimacy and sweetness of the 8:30 service and hope it can resume someday when the time is right. 3 hearts. I guess that's one for each of us.
Yeah, I don't know how much resistance there would be for y'all to just take over that online service. I don't know.
Yeah, we should have done the traditional "Running Down a Dream" song, probably. Yeah, we did.
That was good.
I know. I do think and I know in the future, I want to talk to, we are going to do I think we need to get back to doing, we really didn't think we'd still be doing online worship at this point. I mean, and this is why we have stopped long-range planning longer than 3 months, because Labor Day was, we had a party that we were going to do, no more online, but then the numbers came up, the numbers on online was growing, and so we kept it that. And when I look at other churches whose online is a live stream of the service there's a disconnect there that I think people have felt, that you're watching other people worship. And I think that's why we're very intentional. When Keith is preaching, he is preaching to a phone or to the TV, because there is that connection that's there. And I think that has kept people engaged in our service. That's our theory of why our service has done that. But I think we can be intentional of going back to doing music just online. We really we've gotten to a point now that it was just hard to get back in person, because our band hadn't played for a year and a half. We hadn't, all this stuff of just trying to get everything going. But I think now we've gotten to a place where we could record music again like we did before.
So Morning Song, if you want to get together and get some things working on it, then we can film you. There we go, and then put it online.
My wife is texting, asking.
My phone is dinging. I don't usually have it on. And I thought, well, what if there's a congregation member texting me? But it's my family, so.
Sorry, I have to text.
Well, I think it can be exhausting to do the produced service, the online service, because it's, I feel like we're getting better at it. We're learning the rhythm, but there are some weeks when your energy is gone, and it's really 2 Sunday mornings for me, because on Tuesday feels like Sunday, because I'm just always really nervous, because it's a big deal. And then when you find out there's even somebody in Philadelphia watching your service, then those things are going through your mind. It's like, this is, and so we really were thinking in mid-August or before Labor Day, we would just have the live stream, like we would have live streaming, and so folks could still watch at home. But the more we've talked about it since then, we realized, I guess I'm just rambling on, but we just really want to say we're trying to make the decisions that matter. Like, we value your experience at home. And we value, talking about the numbers of this service, and that would be a reason for cutting the service. Like, no, maybe if it got down to really tiny or something, that would be a conversation. But we do value your experience of worship in this congregation, not only your experience of participating or being the congregation, but also your opportunities to serve and to sing and to lead, in the service too. So all of that matters, and we can whine about being tired and exhausted, and we have 2 Sundays every week or whatever, but at the end of the day, we want to. It really matters. And I think, as your senior pastor with this big team, it's just been really moved. I mean, I'm a little emotional right now just thinking about this staff and their quest for excellence. Like, nobody wants to be second best. And, at every level of it, like with congregational care, like Rachel's just stressed. Are we, and especially in the heart of it, like we were just so worried we weren't connecting with people that, we couldn't go visit anymore. Like, we couldn't go visit our shut-ins, and we couldn't go to the nursing homes. It was awful. And, when that's kind of your responsibility, is to care for the congregation. And, so there's been a lot of, I know Mike's been really trying to be in tune to our mental health. I mean, that's the buzzword, like everybody's talking now about the mental health, but it's a very real thing. And, so every now and again I hear somebody say, I need a mental health day, and they just take a day and do whatever they do. And, but anyway, I'm just really proud of the staff from that kind of behind the scenes perspective of they genuinely care about you and this congregation and their jobs, and they want to, we want it to be the best it can be. And I guess there could be a breaking point where we say, okay, we just can't do that anymore, or whatever. But I think even like the live streaming, we realize it's not as good, so there's conversations about, can we do cameras in a, that's like I'm practicing, like, talking to y'all at home, like, does that work if I can make eye contact in this big room, or maybe that's a next level thing, but anyway, I feel, there's just really no words to describe how blessed I feel to have gone through this year and a half with this group. They're amazing leaders, and I follow them all over the place. So, anyway. And I could also talk until the sun goes down. So I was going to say, let's pray. God, thank you for today. We thank you for our life together in this place. And we just ask that you would hold us close and inspire us to see what needs to be seen. Give us the courage to keep on keeping on and to go down the paths that you lead us. Not just as we imagine creating sacred space so that our spirits can connect with yours in worship, but also leading us from our sanctuaries into the community. Give us all that we need to be your people and to live in such a way that when the world encounters us, they can't believe life can be this good. Bless us like that. Heal us and fill us with your hope. We pray in Christ's name. Amen. Thank y'all. And the conversation is ongoing. So if you're like me, you'll be driving later. It's like, oh, you have an idea. I should have thought of that. You can always pass those along.